Well, I have the pleasure and the honor of being your anchor keynote for Blockworld. So is everyone having a good time? High energy. Is everyone having a good time?
Yay!
That's right. Awesome. What are the qualities of an anchor keynote speaker? Right? You have to have great content. So I packed 40 slides in here for all of you. I think that was a good idea on a Friday afternoon. 2, you got to have a razor sharp wit. Check. And 3, I think you got to have a lot of energy and enthusiasm. So I've got that in spades, and I'm really excited to talk to you about user experience on the blockchain. But first, a little bit of mystery. I'm a big technophile, I'm a huge fan, and in 2013, I published a secret message on the blockchain. Can you guys read that? Any idea what that says? I thought it was cool. I thought it was cute, at least. I didn't think it was clever. I thought it was pretty cute. And I saw this giant technology coming out, and I said, I want to get as close to this redwood tree that's constantly growing and put a little something in there for me to always look back to, and hopefully my next generation and the generations after that. They're not going to get it, but I got it. This is Lola. In 2012, I zoomed back and I said, what is cryptocurrency? What is going on? So what I did was I got some miners from a very reputable source, Butterfly Labs, now defunct. I got some jalapeno miners, and I decided to mine some cryptocurrency. And I said, I want to experience what it's like to mine. I want to know what hashing is. I want to study what it takes to get this currency into a wallet. And then I used those cryptocurrencies on a very reputable exchange, Mt. Gox, now defunct. And I started to trade. And I said, oh, this is exciting. I'm experiencing something new and different. And I could go to E-Trade and trade on traditional assets, but it was nice to create something new, decentralized, and different. I want to experience it again. So I went to half.com and I said, hey, I need some furniture. So I'm going to buy some furniture with it. And I spent way too much money now in doing that. But I did it. I experienced end-to-end what it's like to embrace digital currency. Now, who am I and why am I doing all of this? Well, so I'm Dom from Dom and Tom, and our website is domandtom.com. And if you need to email me, the email is dom@domandtom.com. And I've been in digital for about 17 years. I started started when I was 12, working on our family's computer. And I was the custodian of it. I was in charge of making sure that we had it on, it was working, it was running. My parents could use all their applications. I brought us online for the first time with AOL, and they got us kicked off of AOL. And I got us back onto AOL because I loved playing in that space. But over the course of my history in digital, I got a degree in computer science, I joined a digital agency, and then I joined another digital agency after 3 years. And then after 3 years, I started my own digital product agency with my twin brother, Tom. Because I was so enthused about this space that I started to take on all this work product. Everything from emerging technologies in mobile, to web applications, to websites. And Tom said, you're taking on way too much, I'm going to take it on with you. And so, in an apartment in Queens, we decided to get together and build our own digital product agency with our core values of do good, be good. And we were going to stay at 5 people. And we ended up growing beyond that apartment to an office in Manhattan, to an office in Chicago, to an office in LA, and now we have over 100 employees, and it's a whole bunch of fun. But what I love the most is that we get to work with great clients that are enterprise, great startups that are innovative, and we work on emerging technologies. That's why I love the services industry. That's why I love this space. As a digital product agency, I get to work on all sorts of new things. But my personal passion and hobby, blockchain. I love this tech. I love this space. So we're going to talk about user experience on the blockchain. And everything else I've seen at this conference, I was really excited about because they were talking about the technology. But everyone said, it's more than the technology, it's more than the currency, it's more than Bitcoin or Litecoin or altcoin. And I agree, absolutely. My mentor once, at our first fintech startup, he said, I was hammering on this engineering solution and trying to find workarounds and really trying to figure out how we can make all these integrations work. And he said, Dom, you're working way too hard. This is not an engineering problem. This is a design problem. Sometimes the problems that we see, we try to engineer because we see the world in that way. But what it really is a design problem. or in some instances, a governance problem, and we just need to say, hey, we're not going to work on that feature, that's ludicrous, please don't send cats to the moon. So what is blockchain? Stop me if you've heard this. Yeah, okay, it's a distributed ledger of data. It's decentralized, which is very cool. It's immutable, right? Which, garbage in, garbage out, or awesome in, awesome out. It's secured by proofs, all sorts of proofs. Proof of work, proof of stake, distributed stake, proof of cats, proof of assets. But blockchain isn't the thing, right, that we're here to talk about. I'm a huge fan of the show, *Halt and Catch Fire*. I don't know if anyone here has seen it, but I highly recommend it. And Joe McMillan is this technical evangelist. And he comes out and he says, computers aren't the thing. They're the thing that gets you to the thing. And I think that's very compelling. And so I'm cribbing it. Because interfacing with a blockchain is interfacing with the database. So you're staring at this thing and going, okay, it's a distributed ledger, it's a distributed store. What can I do with just the same data that would normally get centralized? Using these new unique properties and values. And so everyone's going on about what is the new use case for it, and what they're not doing, and what I'm here to sort of share today and hopefully inspire is, you gotta focus on the users and the customers, their journey, their flow, and their experiences. And the great thing about user experiences, it is not about the what. It doesn't matter what it is about the who. So I've got a question for folks today. Who here has ever acquired, mined, bought some cryptocurrency or token with the hopes of selling it or holding on for a long-term store? Anyone here, anyone have cryptocurrency and they're like, I'm a hodler? Okay. The lights are really blinding, I assume everybody, right? If you're not, you should go get some, it's great. Now, who here has acquired some token or cryptocurrency to utilize it? To spend it on something, to buy something like coffee or furniture or a Lambo? Who here has used it for something? All right, I'm assuming everybody, but a little less hands there. Okay, so I'm gonna break it down into two groups. There are the speculators and there are the utilizers. So the speculator's main course is to hold on to it as an asset, to evaluate it, to go onto an exchange. And the utilizer's job is to go and actually experience it by using it for its core purpose. Now, if it's currency, well, it's meant to be utilized in some sort of transaction for goods and services. But if it's some sort of token, it's meant to be used for that token smart contract. But the problem is, we're spending a lot of time on the speculator's interface. And what we need to be doing is spending more time on the utilizer's interface and their experience. Okay, so let's go through the speculators now that we know our users. Part of user experience, not just knowing your users, is knowing their personas, their hidden desires, their published desires. A speculator's main mission is to acquire for net present value and potential future value of that token or currency, okay? So there's a couple of levels of engagement. You've got those who are crypto curious. I've got a couple of Ethereum. I got a crypto basket from Robinhood. And I'm thinking maybe I'll sell it in the next year, in the next 6 months. I hope there's a spike. Short lifespan, or short versus long term. Then you've got your crypto participants. This is where you start getting into more like, I'm checking it every minute, I've got alerts set up, I'm really excited about the sell, I can't wait to tell people, people are asking me to start selling it, or when I should buy or sell. And then you've got your crypto professional. Full-on day traders, they might be fully employed, they work at a hedge fund, or they have a private practice. They might be even like the go-to in some giant institutional organization. Along the experiential level, and each of these can be experienced, it's about the engagement in a certain way. You also have what type of institution they're in. Are they a personal individual? Are they a hedge fund or P&E? Or are they straight up institutional enterprise, big organization, GE? What are their interfaces? What are they each using? And how good are they? And could they be made better? Turns out, because we spend a lot of time on them, they're actually pretty good. So they have wallets. Of course, everyone needs to have wallets in any kind of use case. And to go back, you could be both a speculator and a utilizer. You could split back and forth. Price could drop. You want to hold, price could go up, you start to sell it. And you start using it for goods and services. So it's not a dual mindset that you can't embrace. But what they use is, of course, online wallets, mobile wallets, hardware, Really, there's two types. You got your hot wallets that you have easy access to, and you got your cold wallets that is for long-term asset storage. They also love charts, data visualizations, fantastic data visualizations. And they work with exchanges, many different exchanges. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of them, all with different levels of their own semantic and figuring values and UI and KYC for some and AML for others. When we first started out in this space with exchanges, BTCE, Mt. Gox, those interfaces were very low level, right? They weren't even trustworthy, sadly. There was no version control software. Some of them were on PHP, no disrespect, but they really weren't built for long-lasting security, enterprise-grade work for something that is basically like very high value. So these are each of the areas that they spend a lot of time working on. Now you see Gemini, Polynex, you see really great like experiences, and you still see some degraded ones like Binance, right? I don't really love the interface with Binance. I don't know if anyone here does, but it's incredibly valuable. And what's interesting about the speculators is that they're willing to deal with a lot of low-level interfaces because A, they're already doing it. If anyone ever here has seen a Bloomberg terminal, it's pretty low level, and they're fine with it because there's a lot of gold at the end of that rainbow. So they will deal with a lot of pain in UI in order to conduct a trade that will yield a huge amount of value. So that kind of user, that kind of thinking, is where we're spending a lot of energy in. And I would say the last part that they're in, the last product, is really ICOs, which we've seen in the last year and a half, almost 2 years. And those are very slick, right? They have to be, because they're trying to acquire a new type of user group, which is this hybrid between what is a speculator who is there to acquire some asset in terms of turning it around, and this utilizer group. And the ICO, you might acquire these types of tokens because you believe in the long-term, not value, but utilization of that space, and you're buying it as a hedge. Makes sense. And that might be the core group that they go towards. Or you might just be buying it because you think it's going to be worth a ton of money in the future. Totally fine. And that's the kind of divide between them. Or rather, the bridge between getting into utilizer space. And so we see a lot of polish on that ICO, mostly market and collateral. But once you get into investor communications, the value kind of drops, doesn't it? I don't know if anybody in an ICO gets a lot of investor communication, have an investor portal. Well, you have the tokens in your wallet, but that interface needs to be improved. Let's talk about utilizers. What is a utilizer? Well, they utilize, of course, cryptocurrency. Goods, services, not just currency, of course, but also tokens. And they range from both personal individuals to institutions. I think I've heard the phrase supply-side logistics about 200 times in this conference. And I think it's an incredibly valuable use case for blockchain. But that is not an individual using it, is it? That is an enterprise-grade product platform. So the utilizer of currency has really two main interfaces. You've got your wallets where you're storing it at, ideally mobile, possibly desktop. And you've got your storefronts. And your storefronts are either online or the point of sale. Now the interface with the point of sale, generally they're using a third party, something like BitPay. But they're still very lacking and very low interface integrations right now with some of the major point of sales. And they're going to slowly adopt them. So that kind of work has been innovated on and worked against. And the wallet work has been hit or miss. I don't know if any of you who are the utilizers have a lot of great wallets, but the top ones, Samurai or hardware wallets, they're mostly used for like long-term cold storage. And what exchanges are now doing are starting to get into separating out the speculation work that they've done into the wallet work that's possible. So you'll see this with Circle a lot. Circle now has 5 different product platforms in the crypto space. They're all very polished, very nice, but now they're getting into how do we create a great wallet so that they can now be utilized in one of these 2 areas. And just a quick look at what is one kind of checkout experience. I was looking into drones. I'm very excited about drone racing, FPV. And I was thinking about checking it out on BitPay so this is an integration online desktop wallet. And of course, it has to open up my wallet. Sounds exciting. They were able to do the conversion right there in the normal checkout flow. Very slick. Oh boy, this is my interface. This is, right? And I know it's Bitcoin Core, and I just wanted to show you what a wallet looks like. And there's a couple more polished ones coming out. Parity just released theirs. But man, this just really doesn't communicate who I'm, what, how. And so that non-intuitiveness, they make me go, oh, I'm not going to do it. And there's enough friction already in this space. So designing a better interface for that transaction flow is something that is of high value to us as a community. If we can get more utilizers using these tokens and these currencies, then we can increase the throughput and the velocity of this token and this currency, and suddenly the value goes up. Let's talk about the token aspect, and I want to take it to a different place. This is a game, right? Early technology, mobile, IoT, desktop, games. It's a great adoption because games involve disposable currency, disposable money. So here's a fun game. And the little personal story about this game is that I came up with it. It's like the knife in your back. I came up with a rock, paper, scissors smart contract. I had it like 90% complete, was working on the UI. And then I saw 0x Fair came out with it. I said, good job. And then I studied his contract and I was like, he's definitely smarter than me. Good call, good call. So what you do is you place a bet in ETH, you pick rock, paper, scissors, and then you create a game, which brings up a modal that tells you something's about to happen. Which okay, a lot of text, continue. Which brings up MetaMask and a pending status thing. And, this is the price of ETH at the time, so now it's converted it to fiat, which I think is a clever thing to do for MetaMask, convert it to local currency, real smart. Which then brings up a notification from my Mac desktop that this happened, because I hooked up notifications for MetaMask, real good. But that's not all. Now we're actually in the game, and we're waiting for another player to join the game, and we have a 30-minute timer for this game. This very fun rock, paper, scissors game. And the player shows up, and it turns out that they had scissors. Actually, this is a previous game. I had scissors, and they had paper, and I won. It was awesome. It took 2 minutes. It was awesome. And I loved winning it, every moment of it. I wish they had background music, right? Some way to show fun facts, as I heard someone say. Some way to engage in this game, this experience, knowing the weaknesses of inherently in the system. So what are some of these weaknesses in the system that we can embrace and solve for as we build the front-end experience, as we build that user flow, that user journey? Well, we want to find a way to get frictionless, right? Well, what is friction? I have to put in my 6-digit, my 5-digit PIN. Can I just use my thumb? Can I just use my face and it just unlocks? Well, what are we doing? We're reducing friction. So how do we reduce the friction in this space? And how do we trust it? In this cryptocurrency space, how do I know that was a legit, transaction? I got to check my wallet. Did I get my money back? I don't know. Because in this space, it's, no offense, there's a bit of an integrity check, right? This is the only technology that has ever come out that is closely tied to money. Not desktop applications, not hardware, maybe point of sale, not mobile, not IoT, wearables, or intelligent fridges. This is the only technology whose immediate user experience was currency, which I think is brilliant. But the problem with that is that, money has kind of a gravity to it, kind of bends the values of certain people. So that's why integrity is so important. That's why trust, or trustless, as these systems are, because anyone can see them, is so valuable. Instantaneous-ish. If you're not doing a sidechain, which is close to centralization, you've got to find a way to speed things up or to find ways filler for that space. It's got to be understandable. So let's talk about just dApps in this. Pain points, UX solutions. So I totally cut off my thing. That's fine. But dApps are the new interface bridge for blockchain experiences. So you guys remember AOL, transactional speed can be really brutal. But what did they do? They created a very nice interstitial. They created some nice animations. They created a little sound effect that is synonymous with going online in the 90s. So if you've got bad transaction speed, why don't you start with interstitials? that might be something you could do. Make it fun. CryptoKitties does a fantastic job of this. And they basically embrace that and try to find fun, playful ways to keep the user's attention engaged on the platform while they are boringly waiting for something to do. The second is we have a very fragmented user flow. And I don't know if that's going away soon. I know there was one startup, I think it was Occam, that came up with this really nice technology and solution set for solving for that to reduce that friction. Fantastic. But the storefront goes to a wallet, goes back to a storefront. I'm talking only for B2C applications. Now you might be able to embrace that pain if you're, say, supply side or medical authentication or authorization flows. Basically, if you're a B2B, you're willing to wait a while because already your experiences are pretty legacy. But for B2C, it's abhorrent. More than 10 seconds, you can't handle it. So what do we do with the fragmented user flow? Well, first thing we got to do is create clear guides at every step. This is going to happen, then this is going to happen, then this is going to happen. Auto redirects are valuable. So we know it's pending, but once that transaction occurs, a very nice transition and animation is very powerful for a user. They know something's happening. Oh my God, a progress bar. Who knew we could use that? Notifications are also very valuable. Hooking that in is going to save the user from trusting the system and going, I know this is going to work. Cake, anything nice, anything to ice the experience. So the last thing, or not last, second to last, is unintuitive semantics, which is a long way to say, I don't know what that means. Even the phrase is unintuitive. I'm trying. Excuse me. So you'll see in my awesome idea that someone else built out, as I name it, it is 0.7472 fun units. But I'm here to play a game. I'm here to experience and be immersed in this area. Could you convert it to anything? Convert it to fiat that I expect, or convert it to units that I can expect. And so I can't really do the math on how many games I can play. I know I can go up to certain levels, but whenever I see something that just talks about that tokens area, and we don't have that yet, we're not in that generation, we're bridging that, I just say use local currency for now. If you can convert it to some sort of in-experience units, something that makes sense to the world that you're now in. I'm not in buying something, I'm in playing a game, so convert it to games because I'm playing your game. Fun bucks. There's more solutions out there. I have 3 minutes left. So globally, use metaphors and semantics. Onboarding tutorials are fantastic. Videos are very good. Free to experience so that they don't even have to use the token, so they can just learn the rhythm of your new world that you're in. Also chat. Recommend Discord. If you take them off the system, great. If you keep them in the system, better. Don't do Omegle. It's a wasteland out there. And lastly, we're in San Jose, we're near Palo Alto. I would be doing a disservice without invoking Steve Jobs, who said, you've got to start with the customer experience first. Work backwards to the technology. So you can't start with the technology and try to figure out where you can sell it. We're going to translate this message right now. Really easy. You take a string function. What I did was I took the address, I didn't do a vanity address, and I converted it to the 160 hex. So you put in that hexadecimal text to decode, and it says something very nice, which is a message to my wife. Dom loves Angela always, because she didn't get Bitcoin and I wanted her to understand it. She still doesn't get it, but it's there forever. Questions? Does anyone have questions? I will be around to answer questions. You know my email, you know my name, I'm very approachable, and I love the space.